Ruth. Ruth, chapters 1 to 4. There was a famine in Israel. Elimelech from Bethlehem moved to Moab with his family. He died there. His wife Naomi was left alone with her sons. Her two sons married Moabite women, Orpah and Ruth. 10 years later, Naomi's sons also died. She decided to leave Moab. On the way, she said to her daughter-in-laws, "Go back home, my daughters." They started crying and said, "No, we will go with you." Naomi insisted that they go back. Then Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye and went back home. But Ruth held on to her mother-in-law. Naomi said to Ruth, "Ruth, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her God. Go back with her." But Ruth answered, "Don't ask me to leave you. Let me go with you. Wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you live, I will live. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Wherever you die, I will die." When Naomi saw that Ruth was determined to go with her, she said nothing more. When they arrived in Bethlehem, the barley harvest was just beginning. Ruth went out to the fields and walked behind the workers, picking up the heads of grain which they left. The field belonged to Boaz, who was Elimelech's relative. Boaz asked the man in charge, "Who is that young woman?" The man answered, "She is the foreigner who came back from Moab with Naomi. She has been working since early morning." Boaz told Ruth, "Work with the women here. Whenever you're thirsty, drink from the water jars." Ruth bowed down and said to Boaz, "Why are you so kind to a foreigner like me?" He answered, "I've heard about everything that you have done for your mother-in-law since your husband died. May the Lord reward you for what you have done. May you have a full reward from the Lord, under whose wings you've come to take refuge." Boaz also ordered the workers to pull out some heads of grain from the bundles and leave them for her to pick up. Ruth took the grain back into town and showed her mother-in-law. Naomi asked, "Where did you gather all this grain today? Whose field have you been working?" Ruth told everything that had happened in the field. Naomi said, "May the Lord bless Boaz. He is our relative. He is responsible for taking care of you." Ruth worked at Boaz's field until all the barley and wheat had been harvested. Boaz fell in love with Ruth. He wanted to take Ruth as his wife. But first, Boaz asked Elimelech's nearest relative, according to Jewish custom, whether he take Ruth as his wife. When he gave up his right to take Ruth as his wife, Boaz married Ruth. The Lord blessed Ruth, and she had a son. His name was Obed. He became David's grandfather.